Hi. Well, I thought I was going to be doing a video about a commitment announcement pretty much every day or every other day for the last 2 weeks. And I have done 4, all told. Well, it's not what I expected, but reality has not shown any great tendency to follow my wishes. So we're going to talk about the bigger picture, where things stand and what might be happening and when, maybe. Meanwhile, that's Brule. I'm Forrest Poston. This is WVU Football, going deep. Thanks for watching. Please share, make comments, subscribe if you haven't done so. Click the thumbs up and the subscription button and tell your friends. Now, a little bit about recruiting in general. I don't know how much you guys know. I don't know how much I know. But June is official visit month. They might as well label it. Just about every program is having a bunch of official visits, 3 or 4 weekends this month. Now, West Virginia will be skipping the coming weekend because Coach Brown celebrates Father's Day and does not like to interfere with holidays in general. Especially, well, of course, I suppose most holidays are family related, but that one a little more than some others. Now, most of the recruits coming for these official visits have been to the campuses they're visiting once, twice, maybe 3 times. Those are unofficial, and the player pays their own way. And there's a limit to what programs are allowed to do. Official visits, the school is paying. That's one big difference. And they're allowed to do a whole lot more. They can really lay it on to try to impress the players. I guess, according to some Twitter X pictures, Texas has been shuffling players around in Lamborghinis, or at least a few of the best of their best. West Virginia picks them up and drives them around in a nice SUV. Well, not everybody in one, but the player and whatever family comes with them. And getting to this point is a pretty big deal. Because when you hear that a team has offered a player, that's really not that big a deal. They offer a lot of players, and it's more a way of kind of getting on their radar and saying, hey, we've got some mutual interest here, and we'll see how things go. It's kind of like getting a second date. And most of those don't go anywhere either because the school decides they're not that interested or the player decides they're not that interested. They don't retract offers, generally speaking. But if the player tried to commit, they might not, have a scholarship waiting for them. They might be told, sorry, not going to happen. I've met somebody else. By the time you offer an official visit, you are really serious. This is kind of getting down on one knee and holding up that little box with a ring in it. And they say the school is laying out money for these, so they don't want to do any more than they need to. And I think there's still a limit to how many each school can do in a year. That's probably going to be going away, but right now I think there's still a limit. So you only want to bring a player in if you are very, very interested and if you think they are interested. You don't bring in somebody, no matter how much you want them, if you don't think you have a chance. You don't say, will you marry me, unless you're pretty sure the answer is going to be yes. You may be worried, but still. So these official visits are big time. And like I say, the whole, hey, they offered this, or I got an offer from this school, they have offers from these schools. Not always a big deal because there are different kinds of offers. Official visit, West Virginia's had a really good record once they get somebody on campus. That's been the trick for them, getting somebody that they really want on campus. I had a couple of the recruits have already said, man, once they showed me everything, it was a lot more than they expected. So, first weekend of this month, and this past weekend, and then not this week, but next weekend, official visitors. Now, the way it worked out this time, the guys they wanted most were mostly in the first week. Guys they really still wanted a real strong interest, second week. Got most of the guys coming in for the last one are guys they'd like to have, but they want the other guys more. So if we get a commitment from somebody from one of the first two visits, we might not take somebody from the third. And on the other hand, that also means we need to know what those guys from the first two visits are going to do before that batch comes in on the last weekend, and they say, sure, I'll commit, and the school has to know pretty much whether or not they have a space for them. After the first 2 weeks, the general word seemed to be that there were maybe 10 silent commits out of the group. And the school wanted them to cancel other visits and make a public announcement, just to kind of make it a little firmer. Nothing's in writing still, and so we had 4 guys who did that, and a bunch of guys who might actually be committed, but they still wanted to go on visits. You can't blame them. It's fun, makes them feel important, and it's on the school's money. And shoot, if you come in that very first weekend, do you want to commit to the first school that you really talk to? They've had other visits. This is different. So it's not unreasonable to want to see at least one other, 2 others, so you can, really compare. And that seems to be where we're at. A lot of the guys who people think they silently committed, or, they still maybe probably committed and might stay committed. And there may be more who did not commit at the end of the visit, but will commit, here in the next few days, few weeks, whatever. Most of them, the players want to get this settled as well, so they can get focused on, the upcoming season for them. Now, these camps almost entirely are about defense, because they actually got most of the necessary commitments on offense before players came for an official visit. Several of the official visitors this weekend were actually already committed, but they still take the official visit because, hey, why not? It's a chance to get to know the players and coaches a little bit more, and they become recruiters, who work on, the visitors who haven't made up their mind. And that can be a big deal. Because the juniors and seniors are, a player coming in 2025 isn't going to be spending time with those guys once they actually get into the program. Those guys will be gone. So in many respects, it is the other, recruits for this year and the freshmen, to some degree the sophomores, that these guys really need to bond with. They need to believe, hey, I could have a good time with this group. And that, on and off the field, that's stressed a lot in the program. And that's a lot of what players have been saying. Now, let's see, as I said, it was primarily defense. Let's see, they brought in a total of 9 defensive linemen, including Spur, 2 linebackers, 6 cornerbacks, and 4 safeties in 2 weeks, if I have my numbers right. Now we've already got a commitment from a corner safety, so 1 step on defense covered, and we got a really good Spur. Plus, we did add a necessary wide receiver, and we got this year's running back. And the way camps go, there were, I think, at least 3 other running backs who were supposed to come the 2nd or 3rd week, and they aren't coming or didn't come because, Destinor committed, and these guys said, okay, or the school said, we're done. Don't know. But really looking, hopefully, to get 4 defensive linemen to commit. And it looks pretty good. A lot of these players have announced down to 2 or 3 schools. So, we're right there. We're looking at 50-50 or, 1 in 3, whatever. We got pretty good odds going. And these are guys that, to be honest, we would not have gotten in years past. Not even, maybe 1 or 2 of them last year. But we're getting guys this year that we might or might not have gotten in on an official visit before this. We're not talking a lot of 4 stars or anything, but we are talking about very good, mid to high 3 stars with a lot of potential. And again, that is something West Virginia does. They bring in players who are a year or 2 or 3 away and develop them, especially with a guy known as Mike Joseph. Now, we do have some players who have announced when they will announce. Now, how big a deal is that? Don't know, because 2 or 3 of them have also changed their dates, moved a date back, moved a date forward, and you never know if that favors West Virginia or not. But we do have, 3 defensive linemen and a couple of defensive backs. We've got Taylor Brown, I think, announcing on the 14th. And this is a guy, he's 6'3", 250, high-quality wrestler, all-county catcher, and steals a fair number of bases at 250 pounds. So, Terrence Deuce Edwards, announcing on the 15th, I believe. He's a safety, probably. Telemaque on the 18th. Charles on the 19th. Both of those guys are defensive linemen. And Cam Strong, another safety, June 21st. Now, it is entirely possible we get all of those guys. With the guys who came the last 2 weeks, we should get 8 to 12 commitments, I think. That would be a good number. You were talking around half of the guys who came Well, no, that's actually not half of the 2-week total, but we should get most of the defense settled. Most. We might finish the offense. We had Justin Bell as another offensive lineman, and one more is probably all we need. Braswell Thomas, Samari Reed, let's see, Montavin Quisenberry, those were the wide receiver. Oh, Jaleel Hall, he's another one of those 6'4", 6'5" guys. And, there is talk of Sean Terry. He's got 2 visits coming up. I don't know. I'm not excited because, he didn't have West Virginia as his first choice. He's decommitted from Notre Dame and is looking at least 2 other programs. And then West Virginia is maybe his backup choice. I'd rather have guys who really want to be at West Virginia, that they pick West Virginia over other schools, and not because the other schools decided they weren't interested or picked somebody else and that sort of thing. Another big potential story, cornerback named Dwayne Galloway Jr., number 1 cornerback prospect out of Ohio. He had his official visit, kind of an odd stretch from Sunday to Tuesday, and he wasn't really considered to be that big a prospect. Not because he's not talented, but because he seemed likely to go to one of the big schools. Now, West Virginia had a 1-day camp on Monday, and the camps are for prospects they're looking at considering offering, mostly for like 26, 27, 28, not so much for 25, but some players from Galloway's team were in for the camp, and so was Galloway. He was not there to participate in the camp, but just kind of came with his teammates and hung out with the coaches and, I suppose, the players. Why? We don't know. May have just been, hey, heck, why not? I'll hop in and come down because he likes the other guys. Maybe he is more interested than people thought. Or maybe after he got home he decided he was more interested. How far that will go, we don't know. How long it will take before he makes a decision, we don't know. But it is interesting. Gives us something to talk about, something to think about. Now, a bunch of other guys were here, and pretty much all are guys that the coaches would love to have, and a bunch of them might be silently committed. And if this keeps stretching out more, I'm going to end up committed. But good things are happening. They're not happening yet so much in public, but good things are happening. We have one more camp, and again, we'll probably, well, of course, this upcoming camp puts pressure on the coaches and the players from the previous official visit weekend to make a decision. So by the end of June or early July, we should know most of the recruits. Always possibilities of picking up somebody late. We did that with a couple of guys last year, and a couple of really good-looking prospects last year. And we'll probably do much the same this year. But that's where we stand. I'm not sure where we stand, but I think it's solid ground. And somewhere in the hills, you know how it goes walking in West Virginia. You're either going uphill or downhill, and that's just about your only choices. Right now, I think we're sitting, just a little below the top of a hill. Then maybe we can walk along the ridge for a while. We'll see. All right. Thanks for listening, if you did. And I'll talk to you guys later, hopefully with good news. So long.